Nobody expected this out of Liam Ohgren, as we have a major update on his transformation here from this offseason. We're going to be breaking it down, and you're not going to want to miss what he looks like at this very moment. We're going to be covering that, as well as going over an update from Michael Russo from The Athletic, going over a Kirill Kaprizov extension, and honestly, it seems exactly where we are is where we thought we were going to be. You're going to want to stick around for that as well. I want your guys' opinion on this when we get to it later on in the video. Before we do jump into all of this news, however, as me and Josh have been kind of mentioning over the past few videos, and you know, we're going to have all your wild news here throughout the offseason. We're on the road to 2K. Your guys' sport's been absolutely incredible as of late, and we're just over 100 subscribers away. So if you're watching and you're not hit that sub button, be sure to do so if you're looking for all of your Minnesota Wild news. But let's jump straight into this. And I want to get immediately into Liam Ohgren. The picture that he put on Instagram, and the NHL also put it on Twitter, and that kind of goes to show how kind of insane this transformation genuinely is. Now, bear in mind, this is Liam Ohgren, the Liam Ohgren that has been on the Minnesota Wild for the past few seasons, and we know he was not the biggest guy, but now looking at him, he has put on an insane amount of muscle, and is going to be an absolute force on this team. And I don't want to assume right now what his play style is going to be or what's going to be changing, but it does seem like the way he's putting on for this build, that he's going to be taking a much bigger play style in his next couple seasons. Of course, Liam Ohgren right now, not on the active roster. When it does come down to it, we know that the Minnesota Wild are a pretty old team, not necessarily overall, but on the offensive side of things, especially in the bottom six at this very moment where we would likely see Liam Ohgren stand, we're pretty old on that side. And I want to go and pull up, of course, the lineup right now here first to start it off. And, of course, Liam Ohgren not on this. Currently is listed as a scratch, but in the NHL roster. If we're looking at him as that build that we just saw, and we're going to pull it up once again here now in a moment, he will certainly have a much different game. You know, Liam Ohgren, definitely the guy that knows how to use the puck. He's playing his puck well. Not the fastest guy necessarily, but very, very good on his feet and great shot. You know, that game style that we have right now for Liam Ohgren is one that we have in quite a few other players here. Marco Rossi, you know, pending if he comes back or not. Kaprizov, Matt Boldy, a bigger style there. Eriksson Ek more on defense, but, you know, it works out well with where we're going. But Liam Ohgren is looking to get a spot on this team, and we know it's not going to be an easy feat. And Bill Guerin's been saying that. John Hynes has been saying that. You're not going to be given a spot on this team. You have to earn it. And I think that Liam Ohgren knows what he needs to do. He needs to kind of put on the muscle like he's doing, as you see here, once again, in this picture. Go out and just play that more physical game. We know the Wild are good at that. They have a lot of great players who are able to do that, and of course, that wouldn't necessarily be Liam Ohgren's game, but to put on that muscle, to put on that strength for the battles in the corner, for your shot, for everything, it will have a major impact on what he's going to bring to the table, and will give him an even better odds of making this Minnesota Wild team bearing any, you know, major changes for you here in the offseason. But I'm very high on Liam Ohgren, of course. As you guys know, if you've been watching the channel for a while, I'm expecting a lot of big things out of him this year, and he's going to be someone that, once again, is going to be fighting for that spot, and I think he's doing the exact right thing here. And I want to also pull up this from Minnesota Sports Insider on Twitter, kind of going over where Liam Ohgren kind of stands in this situation. Of course, you know, he's gotten the opportunity in the NHL. Hasn't been too long, but he certainly has shown that he's able to play at that level already. And now putting on everything he needs to, putting on the muscle, upping his game, it's going to be a much, much improved Liam Ohgren next season. Now, this is what they have to say here. Led Iowa in goals and assists per game. Ohgren was practically a point per game in the AHL at 20 years old. Bill Guerin recently said that Liam Ohgren is up to 200 pounds now. He was 187 when drafted and clearly is ready for the NHL. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. For a winger, is a good two-way forward who can really shoot the puck. He is my sleeper player that surprised casual Wild fans. Absolutely dominated on a hideous Iowa Wild team. Keep that in mind. That team was absolute garbage. And there are only two players who had positive plus minus, and he was one of them. And looking at where we see Liam Ohgren right now, of course, you see two-way forward, going to a good skater. 6'1", 200 pounds is much better for a two-way forward than even 6'1", 187. You know, it's still only a 13-pound gain, but the way that Liam Ohgren's play style is going to be mixing in with this Wild team going into his role for this upcoming season, it's going to be a much improved team, but also a much improved Liam Ohgren, who is going to be trying to push up here in this roster. So I want to know what you think right now about this gain of weight. Of course, obviously, it's very good. You're seeing him put on the muscle. It's what we need to see from Liam Ohgren if he wants to actually have that real good chance of being a top 6 NHL player, a top 6 Wild player on this upcoming season. I think that's what we're trying to get from him, and he's trying to get from this Wild team. And before we do move on to Kirill Kaprizov, I wanted to pull up the stats for Liam Ohgren right here now as well. Going back to that tweet as well, you know, kind of point per game last year, nearly in the AHL on that terrible Iowa Wild team, as I mentioned, one of the only plus-minuses that were in the plus on that team. But when you take a look at his NHL game last year, only 24 games played, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Was really not that guy just yet, but now when you're looking at what he did last season, comparing that to how we would play here in this upcoming year with the play style that he currently has, while also altering that a bit, while also putting on more muscle, it really is going to be a good fit for him coming into this year. So once again, I want to know what you guys think about this, and do you think this is going to give Liam Ohgren a better chance of jumping into any part here on this lineup? And of course, you have a guy like Vinny Hiedenstroza there, which I think is kind of replaceable here. Yakov Trenin, he's the guy that is going to be there for the physicality, the player that he is. A bit expensive, but if can, kind of get shipped out elsewhere, I think it might not be a bad decision to do so, to bring in a guy like Liam Ohgren on a full-time basis. And of course, he still has to play good. That's not any exceptions there. He needs to show that he's ready for this league, and that's one thing I think that we're going to see Bill Guerin and John Hynes keep a very close eye on here in this offseason. But we got to move on as well now to a major update from Michael Russo going over Kirill Kaprizov, and I want to pull up right now immediately from Daily Faceoff what Michael Russo had to say. They're not close. Now, this is not a bad thing. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, bear in mind, of course, this is the one thing we're not, really needed for at this very moment. That's more on the Marco Rossi side of things that I'm not going to touch on here in this video, but they say a contract extension for Kirill Kaprizov in Minnesota is likely, but right now, they're not close. From Michael Russo on the Daily Faceoff Rundown, episode 399. Go check it out in the link. Go check out Daily Faceoff. See what Michael Russo had to say, because we know how much his stuff means to the Minnesota Wild and how kind of in tone with the team he is. So, taking a look at Kirill Kaprizov and the contract that he's going to be getting, of course, this is pointing all signs really towards upwards of $14 million, maybe even $15 million, and becoming the highest paid player in the NHL. And it's all really just a matter of time until we see it happen. He's going to be ready for an extension now at any point. Of course, he is still under contract this year. It's not like we need him done as soon as possible. And that's why, I've kind of discussed that. I think this contract is going to be one that, is 100% done at the end of the day. But right now, the Wild are going to start low. Kaprizov's going to start high, and they're going to meet in the middle. There's no doubt about that in my mind, of course. If Kirill Kaprizov, wanted to take a pay cut, was willing to take a pay cut, he wouldn't necessarily say it. But the Wild are going to start low, so, hey, would you take $12 million? Of course, if you want to play here, that's fine. We're going to pay you anyways. They have said that. We've seen Bill Guerin say that they're going to do anything to get Kirill Kaprizov back. So I think this is all something that we know. We got to take it day by day, week by week, and month by month. Whether the extension comes this offseason, whether it comes throughout the middle of the season, we're still ready for it. We know it's going to happen. So I don't want to say that whole update there from Michael Russo is something that's on a negative side of things. I think it's just the Wild and Bill Guerin comparing to Kirill Kaprizov and his agent, taking their time on this and making sure everything gets right. And, kind of going back and forth a bit. They're not far apart, but they're not close right now on a deal. But, they're definitely on the same wavelength to get to the point that they want to be for a contract. And I want to pull this up from NHL Rumor Report as well, from Frank Cervalli. From the Kaprizov extension, we're kind of discussing on this. I would ballpark somewhere in a neighborhood of 8 years, $15 million. That's just a guess. They're working away on that deal. And this comes yesterday from Bleacher Report as well. So a bit of a different report here from Frank Cervalli, saying that they're still working away. Not saying they're not close, not saying they are close, but, we're expecting something to happen along the lines of that being nearly confirmed at some point here over the next little while. And I want to pull up this one more little bit as well right here. When we do take a look at what a $14 million 8-year contract would look like by the year 2033 coming into this, it's going to look like an $8.9 million contract right now. The way that the NHL cap is looking like, it's going to be going very much in the north direction, and obviously going to be helping out any of these big contracts look a lot better down the line. So even though you may be looking at a $14-15 million contract right now, by the time that deal expires, that will be a steal in the terms of NHL. So let me know what you think about this as well, and I want to think what you I want to know what you guys think about Kirill Kaprizov, the Minnesota Wild, not necessarily being close right now, according to Michael Russo, and no time to panic whatsoever. I think we're still in a very good spot, and I think this is actually probably better than saying that they are close right now. So that's all I got in this video. Let me know what you think about that, like I mentioned in the comments below, but that's all I'm signing up though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.